Mumbai studios of Republic TV, it's time for Arnab Goswami on the debate.
Arnab Goswami on the debate at 9. Presented by Amity University. Powered by RP Sanjeev Goenka Group and Century Ply.
Good evening and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Visual evidence has now emerged that shows an ISI spy sharing the stage in New Delhi in 2009, sitting just 5 chairs away from the then Vice President of India, Mr. Hamid Ansari. Now, Mr. Ansari says, I have no idea. He says, I just don't know. He says, I have no idea how it happened. He said yesterday, I've never met the ISI spy. But then the pictures, viewers. In the pictures, the ISI spy is sitting on the same platform. In fact, around a round table with him. 2 things make this development of greater concern. 1, that there are 2 cabinet ministers sharing the stage with the ISI spy in that picture. And second, that the ISI spy was called upon to participate in a conference in India on how to fight terrorism. So consider this, that the ISI, which carried out the 26/11 attack 11 months earlier, 11 months after that, sent their man, an ISI agent, to infiltrate an event in India, in India's capital, on fighting terrorism. Now, viewers, for a second consecutive day, Hamid Ansari is denying knowledge. But then today, a top jurist and president of the International Council of Jurists has gone on record to say that the then Vice President Hamid Ansari's office had in 2010, that's 1 year after the picture I showed you of the 2009 conference was taken, had put pressure on the organizers of another conference to invite the same ISI spy, then masquerading as a journalist, to the 2000 conference as well. Now, Hamid Ansari says he doesn't know anything about that either. Now, you can say this is one version against another, but certainly it's impossible to believe that this was all just one mistake. Just a mistake that an ISI man infiltrated the highest corridors of power in India and wielded powerful connections to get repeat invitations and repeat entries into India just like that, JLT. It's impossible. Deafening silence or flat denials cannot be the answer. It will probably be appropriate for Mr. Ansari to explain in detail to the media and be willing to answer some straight questions on these strange coincidences. More so, since he has been a Vice President of India. Ladies and gentlemen, the nation needs to know. Debating that tonight. Hashtag, who let the spy in? Hashtag, who let the spy in? Viewers, pictures are out. Debating tonight at 10 o'clock this evening. Talks of Ghazwa-e-Hind, direct jihad. Shocking revelations coming in from Patna. Debating that at 10 and 10:30, a little after that tonight. Lies. It's all boomeranged, and Republic really smashed Rahul Gandhi's lie this afternoon. Since then, Rahul Gandhi, Jairam Ramesh probably running for cover. And here are the headlines. Here are the headlines this Friday evening on the debate tonight. 11 months after 26/11, the red carpet was rolled out to an ISI man. Is it not India's biggest national security scandal? Hamid Ansari repeatedly denies any role, repeatedly denies knowing the ISI spy or inviting him tonight. The nation wants to know, hashtag, who let the spy in? Indian visa doled out to ISI spy in the UPA era. Can Sonia and Manmohan deny all the evidence that's now coming out? After India 2047 plot, Ghazwa-e-Hind angle emerges. Big conspiracy unearthed by the Patna police. WhatsApp chats reveal Pakistan hand in the Patna module. Can the radicalization threat be ignored anymore? And Lion, banned list and now Dharna ban claim. 3 flops in 1 week for the Vadra Congress as Republic fact checks them. Ladies and gentlemen, an ISI spy managed to grab a seat at the table with topmost ministers and the then Vice President of India. No, this is not fiction, it's true. He managed to go city to city in our country on our invitation, on our visa. He managed to use the garb of a Pakistani journalist only to later happily reveal that he was being a spy all along. And all along, someone in India, someone powerful let him in. Let him attend our conferences, let him threaten our security, and let him get visas at will. So tonight the only question is, hashtag, who let the spy in? Let's debate.
26 November 2008, 166 died in the most horrific Pakistan-sponsored terror attack. Less than a year later, on the 27th of October, this international conference against terrorism was held. Look at the picture closely. On the platform was the then sitting Vice President and then Cabinet Minister Ghulam Nabi Azad and then Union Minister Farooq Abdullah. And at the end of the same table is Nusrat Mirza. Nusrat Mirza is a self-admitted ISI spy who masqueraded as a Pakistani journalist. On being named by the ISI spy, Hamid Ansari has denied any link. But the organizer of another 2010 conference has said this.
इस कॉन्फ्रेंस हमारी कॉन्फ्रेंस में बुलाने के लिए मिस्टर अशोक दीवान जो उस टाइम डायरेक्टर थे वाइस प्रेसिडेंट सेक्रेटरीट में, उन्होंने हमको रिक्वेस्ट करी थी कि वाइस प्रेसिडेंट साहब चाहते हैं कि नुसरत मिर्जा जो पाकिस्तान के जर्नलिस्ट हैं इस कॉन्फ्रेंस में उनको भी बुलाया जाए.
Now the former Vice President has come out with yet another clarification, sticking to his stand that he did not invite anyone, he did not invite Nusrat Mirza, either to the 2010 conference or the 2009 one about which Mirza is talking about. If not Hamid Ansari, then the question is, who extended the red carpet for the Pak spy?
Big questions are being raised on the UPA regime where Manmohan Singh was Prime Minister and Sonia Gandhi, Chairman of the National Advisory Council.
इस तस्वीर में ऊपर लिखा है सेकेंड इंटरनेशनल कॉन्फ्रेंस, उसके नीचे शीर्षक है टेररिज्म नेशनल एंड इंटरनेशनल, और बीच में बैठे हैं तत्कालीन उपराष्ट्रपति हामिद अंसारी जी. और ये देखिए मंच पे, कहीं और नहीं, ऑडियंस में नहीं, मंच पे बैठे हैं ये बहरूपीय पत्रकार, पाकिस्तान के एजेंट नुसरत मिर्जा.
The visa to the ISI spy was issued despite the debacle with David Headley, who was issued a 5-year multi-entry visa. Were the same mistakes repeated again over visas issued to ISI spies deliberately?
अब एक व्यक्ति कहता है कि वो पाकिस्तान के आईएसआई एजेंसी जो भारत के खिलाफ काम करती है उससे उसका अच्छा संपर्क है. वो लगातार हामिद अंसारी साहब के साथ उस समय टच में जब वो उपराष्ट्रपति थे, तो इसका स्पष्टीकरण बनता है. और कांग्रेस पार्टी को इसका दूसरा एक पहलू है कि कांग्रेस पार्टी पूर्ण रूप से उतर गई पहले बचाव में. कहीं ऐसा तो नहीं कि कांग्रेस पार्टी को जानकारी थी? तो ये पूरी कहानी निकलनी चाहिए.
It's the biggest national security scandal, and all those helming the erstwhile government are still silent. Let's debate.
Well, these developments are a matter of great national concern. And with us tonight is Gaurav Bhatia, who did that press conference, Vaibhav Singh, Saurabh Shukla of News Mobile, N.K. Sood, former RAW official, senior RAW official. We have Tanveer Ahmed of the JDS, Sudhindra Badoria, Kapil Madan and Surendra Chauhan. Mr. Sood, if I can begin with you. Mr. Hamid Ansari, for a second consecutive day, is denying any knowledge. He has said, I did not invite the ISI spy, Nusrat Mirza. I don't know the ISI spy, Nusrat Mirza. And basically he says, I stick to my statement yesterday. However, some new revelations, some new visual evidence have now come out, including statements from senior jurists. What is your take on this?
I firmly believe that whatever Nusrat Mirza is saying, it is correct. He has no reason to name our Vice President Hamid Ansari. I have been very close to Hamid Ansari. When Hamid Ansari was India's ambassador in Iran, Tehran, I was also there. I have seen him. I have seen his actions at that time. It is for the first time in India's history that 4 Indian officials and diplomats, they were kidnapped. They were kidnapped by the Iranian intelligence. Hamid Ansari did not do anything, did not play any role in releasing them. And because of this action, we had suffered a very humiliating condition over there. Our units were totally exposed. We were asked not to work. And Hamid Ansari had no regrets. Instead, he wanted to punish us. And now, this man, Mirza, he came to India, especially when a person is coming to India, Pakistani is coming to India, there are certain rules and regulations and restrictions. But in the case of this person, all those restrictions were removed. He was supposed to visit 3 places, he visited 7 places. Besides, he was repeatedly given visa. And this, any official sitting in Pakistan cannot do. If he does, he will lose his job, he will lose his dignity, he will lose his foreign postings forever. And this was done, and this is naturally somebody from top must have influenced this. And if he says that Hamid Ansari is there, Hamid Ansari is there. Because I have seen Hamid Ansari's role when he was India's ambassador in Iran, and you have also seen how he had been issuing a lot of statements over there, and whatever has happened, as Mirza says, it is a very serious case, because at that time
it's a serious case. I will not go into the
if you see the period of the
yes, go on. Yes, Mr. Sood.
If you look at the period of the UPA government, Pakistan's ISI was conducting regularly bomb attacks in all parts of the country. Because it was only possible for Pakistan because the Pakistanis were being issued visas indiscriminately. That I must say.
No, but now you see there's a very Mr. Ansari is being very careful at the same time. He's giving a sort of legal reply, and that is what causes me a little bit of concern. He's trying to say that I did not invite Nusrat Mirza. Question being, how is he then sitting 4 or 5 chairs away from Mr. Mirza in a conference on terrorism? Tomorrow, are we to say that if Dawood Ibrahim or Tiger Memon were to be sitting 4 or 5 chairs away, and Gaurav Bhatia can come into the debate with Surendra Chauhan as well, tomorrow if Dawood Ibrahim, right, or Tiger Memon were to be sitting 5 chairs away from the Vice President, then the Vice President can say, I don't know who he is. Obviously, there must be some protocol followed, right? Mr. Chauhan, I think Mr. Hamid Ansari needs to explain much more. I'd like you to come into the debate with Gaurav Bhatia. I think this is getting serious. It's getting quite serious.
Arnab, I agree with you that the former president, vice president must explain, but the fact of the matter remains that now Mr. Sood have got say to speak. When it was done in 1992, he was ambassador in Tehran, Mr. Hamid Ansari.
now after almost 30 years, he is raising a voice that he was not doing whatever he was to be done by the
let's keep
ambassador
Mr.
on that
Ansari's
time.
record in Iran not as part of this debate. Let us look at this controversy of hashtag who let the spy in.
But Mr. Sood started it. But
No,
Mr.
he
Sood
started it, but that's another subject.
that
Why
his
don't you get
tenure
into?
in Iran was not good.
We now have pictures taken 27th of October 2009. An ISI spy is sitting
True.
surrounded by top Indian government officials, two cabinet
Now, what
ministers.
a vice president has to do. What a vice president has to do with the program, it is with the program or with the organizers.
Right, that is
It
exactly
with
the
organizers
explanation
who
that Mr.
organizing
Ansari is
it
trying to
and
give.
Who is calling the invitation?
I want Gaurav to come into that. Gaurav, you heard what he said there. What does the vice president have to do at an event where he is one of the key speakers? What does the vice president have to do with it?
Arnab, it's a very serious matter and I'll give you the reasons why. This issue, which concerns national security, was raised by the Bharatiya Janata Party very responsibly. And it was for Hamid Ansari and Sonia Gandhi ji and Rahul Gandhi ji to come out and clear the air, deny the allegations that had surfaced from an ISI agent called Nusrat. But what happened? I have in my hand the response given by Hamid Ansari. There are two important facets to it. The first is, he himself says that the dignitaries who are invited to any event is at the advice of the government. In this case, it is the Congress government. Government, according to him, is responsible for the invites. And second, he claims that he did not invite this ISI agent and never met him. And then this picture surfaced, Arnab. Now, we all know that when it comes to the President of India, the Vice President of India and the Prime Minister, they have very strict protocols. Protocols to the extent that every person who is invited to the event, the invite is numbered, the names are shared with the officers, the dais and the sitting arrangement is discussed with the Vice President's office. And the Vice President, Hamid Ansari, in this case, had the power to refuse, to say that I will not share the stage with this person, because just 10 months ago, India was targeted by Pakistan. There was a dastardly terrorist attack. Why didn't the Vice President refuse to share the dais with this person? Second, there are even more serious questions that should be answered by the Congress. Why was this ISI agent given visa to visit India, recce the towns 5 times? No denial from Sonia Gandhi. Why is it there was a special permission for this person to visit 7 cities, Arnab? The general permission is for 3 cities. ये कोई मेहमान है क्या? बताइए. Third and most important, I want to ask, are we learning how to eradicate terrorism from an ISI agent? Is this what India is all about? And that hurts me the most. And today I will say one thing very responsibly. Arnab, let me just complete. 20 seconds. 20 seconds. As an Indian, I would be the happiest person if Sonia Gandhi ji comes out and Rahul Gandhi ji comes out and he denies and she denies that these pictures are not correct. The visa was not extended 5 times because as an Indian, I will feel my country's security was not compromised.
No, we are very concerned. And as far as Sonia Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi are concerned, we were concerned when we saw pictures of them in some kind of surreptitious meeting with the Chinese, signing a secret agreement of which I do not know what is the material value.
Yes.
You know, there is so much suspicion about what the arrangement between the Gandhi family and Chinese, who are our enemies, is. But this is even more serious. Here is a situation, Mr. Bhadoria, where India faced its worst terror attack. 10 Pakistani terrorists entered. They killed 166 people in Mumbai. The whole country was stunned. And then the Congress government was attacked for being constantly soft with Pakistan. But what this picture and what this evidence proves is that the then government did not give a damn about the sentiments of the people in this country, was busy wining and dining with Pakistanis and Pakistani spies and sitting with them in conferences on how to control terrorism. I mean, what a supreme irony, Mr. Bhadoria. Who let the spy in? How did this happen?
Well, I think terrorism, though it's a very serious issue which is concerning all countries, all nations and all societies, India has been affected very seriously and it has been hurt a lot and pained a lot. And in this context, if the foreign ministry, which must be also in the knowledge of things, at that time, and I think now everything is online, and at that time also it was online, so the facts and figures would be there. I must also say that of late, Hamid Ansari ji, who has been an important constitutional position holder in this country, has been always in some controversies or the other. So therefore, I think it is very important. He and the government of that time should come out clearly and state as to how all this happened and who are the real culprits. And those who are the real culprits should be definitely, a question should be asked to them why a thing of this nature was organized, and particularly people who are trying to hurt and pain the country were invited in this.
No, but there must have been security clearance.
Needs to be answered.
No, there must have been security clearance. You see what happened, Saurabh.
Yeah, the
then government,
the High Commission, the Indian High Commission in Pakistan, the Indian High Commission in Pakistan, who gave clearances
High Commission in Pakistan,
they should be asked, and I think these all facts and figures should be there.
Ministry of External
I think the Ministry of External Affairs can dig out every information and put everything.
No. Arnab, if I can just come in and
yes, Saurabh. Yes, Saurabh. Yes, Saurabh and Kapil. Yeah. Yes, Saurabh.
Sir, the position is that whenever a visa is issued by Indian High Commission in Pakistan, it's a very sensitive matter. The clearance from the Ministry of Home Affairs has to be given besides the clearance from the Ministry of External Affairs. The question is, did Mr. Ansari's office in any way influence this? The government must inquire and investigate, because this is, I'm shocked. This is a very serious matter. And how an ISI agent was able to penetrate at the level of a highest constitutional office of this country. Because I tell you, anytime a VVIP is going, especially when it comes to the President of India, Prime Minister of India, the Vice President, every person on the dais is scrutinized. The organizers are scrutinized. There's a report by the security agencies. Those details must be there in the file. They must be investigated. The governments must make sure that who did it. Was there anybody from Mr. Ansari's office who made a call to expedite this?
Yeah.
And Mr. Ansari must make it clear, because he has been in public office. He has been a chief of protocol in
Mr. Ansari is trying to deflect this. Let me be very direct on this. But I am afraid Mr. Ansari cannot and should not deflect this. Mr. Ansari should not pretend to have fake anger or outrage about this, because he should ask himself, how could I have been sitting on the same table with 3 cabinet ministers and an ISI spy? And then if he says, no, I thought he was a journalist, then the question will be, who gave that level of security clearance that an ISI spy masquerading as a journalist could be sitting relaxed around India's vice president? And further important thing, he says, I don't know who this man Nusrat is. And with me now on the program is Dr. Adish Agarwala. Now, Mr. Adish Agarwala is a distinguished jurist. He is chairman of the Bar Association, president of the International Council of Jurists, and he is also the organizer of a 2010 conference in which Hamid Ansari was one of the main speakers, or I think the chief guest. He has a different take. Now, Mr. Adish Agarwala, the story becomes more interesting now, and please listen, Tanveer and Kapil, how intriguing this story becomes. Mr. Ansari says, I don't know who Nusrat is. Just washes his hands off. Yesterday he just says, ask the Congress government, ask
Arnab,
the MEA, ask anyone else. But his further statement, Kapil, thank you for speaking uninvited, but allow me to complete my sentence. He says, I don't know who he is. His specific thing is, I have never met him. Now, if he doesn't know who he is, and doesn't know who he is, doesn't know where he came from, etc., etc., in that case, one person is not speaking the truth. Either Hamid Ansari is not speaking the truth, or Dr. Adish Agarwala, who's on my panel, is not speaking the truth. Mr. Adish Agarwala is a completely different take. Mr. Agarwala says that he was under pressure from Hamid Ansari's office in 2010 to invite this ISI spy. Can you tell us about it? Can you go into detail about it, Mr. Agarwal?
Yeah. I was invited by Mr. Ashok Diwan, who was director in Vice President Secretariat. Once the Vice President agreed to be the chief guest in our conference, I went to him. We discussed about the problem, and then he told me in the end that Honorable Vice President want that a Pakistani journalist Nusrat Mirza should be also invited. So I heard that, but I actually have not invited that journalist because I have not even invited the Chief Justice of Pakistan, Justice Iftikhar Muhammad Chaudhry, who was the Chief Justice, and he was also our Vice President of International Council of Jurists. I have not invited the other judges of Supreme Court and High Courts and other bar leaders of Pakistan. Why I have not invited?
No, one minute. Let me intervene out here. 1 second, Mr. Agarwal. Please, let's remain focused. You are saying, and I'm asking you a second time, and Gaurav Bhatia, please listen to this live. Vaibhav Singh, this is getting very intriguing. Tanveer, you are saying that you were told by Mr. Hamid Ansari's office to invite this particular ISI spy.
Who woke up from his slumber dream. Arnab, what was Mr. Ashish Agarwal doing for last 12 years, Arnab? If it was a matter of such an important concern, if it is a matter of really national security, didn't his consciousness and nationalism, didn't it permit him to come to your channel or to write on a blog, to come to the people and do a social media, do a press conference?
On this. 1 second, this is getting very intriguing. Vaibhav, he asked, why is Mr. Agarwala revealing this now? To which, 1 minute, Tanveer, 1 minute, let's keep it fast and moving. To which a normal response would be that this person has gone on television in Pakistan claiming to be an ISI spy just about a few days back.
And Sood also wakes up and he says Hamid Ansari was anti-national. My God. And you want us to listen to
1 minute. I am not going on any inference of whether Mr. Ansari is anti-national. Vaibhav, I think there's some discomfort building.
Can you please?
There's some discomfort building here. There's some discomfort building here, Vaibhav, clearly. Isn't there discomfort building here? There's discomfort building. Why? Why is there so much discomfort in the opposition? Why? Vaibhav.
I mean, it does not matter, Arnab. It does not matter why Mr. Agarwala is making a claim. What matters is that ISI spy Nusrat Mirza himself has come on screen. He himself has admitted that I was ISI spy and I was invited there by Mr. Hamid Ansari. What Mr. Agarwal is saying, he is reiterating.
Why didn't you really report for last 12 years? What nonsense were they doing?
Okay, we keep Mr. Agarwal in the middle. Gaurav on the left. Thank you, please.
ISI spy himself has admitted now.
After 30 years.
1 second.
After 30 years.
Viewers, there's a little bit, 1 minute. There has been a little bit of chaos that has broken out on my program. After, Gaurav, please note, after Mr. Adish Agarwala is going on record saying that Hamid Ansari's office put pressure on him to invite this particular Pakistani into the 2010 conference. Gaurav, you can see here, chaos has broken out on the program as he's making these revelations live. I don't understand why. Yes, Mr. Chauhan, I can't even hear you. Audio. I can't hear you. Why is there chaos? Why can't you hear him? Why can't you hear him?
Adish Agarwal just now maintained, Mr. Adish Agarwal just maintained that he did not invite Nusrat Mirza despite the pressure.
So which part of the statement do you accept? That there was pressure or that he did not invite?
And
The question is, why would the Vice President's office put pressure to invite a particular Pakistani?
He did not invite and there was no pressure.
No, he did not talk about no pressure. Mr. Agarwal, Mr. Agarwal, I go to you again. Mr. Agarwal, 1 minute.
He is now waking up after 12 years.
1 minute. Can I have 2 versus 2, please?
I was invited by Hamid Ansari.
Just 1 minute.
Mr. Agarwal is saying he was invited by Mr. Hamid Ansari.
No, Mr. Agarwal has pictures of the event in which he is standing next to Mr. Hamid Ansari. So there is no doubt that Mr. Agarwal was the organizer of the event in which Hamid Ansari was present. What he is saying is that Hamid Ansari's office put pressure on him to invite a particular Pakistani who it turns out is an ISI spy. Am I right, Mr. Agarwal? Do you want to clarify that? You've been quiet. The debate is around what you said.
Yeah.
Why don't you clarify?
Yeah, that is the correct. I am clarifying. I don't treat that as a pressure, but that was a request made by the director, Mr. Ashok Diwan, on behalf of Vice President.
Why?
But I have to see the larger interest, so I have not acted upon that.
No, why? In what capacity did they want you to invite this Pakistani? In what capacity?
As claiming that he is a very seasoned journalist, he should be invited.
But then Gaurav doesn't add up. Here Mr. Ansari says, I don't even know who this man is.
Lawyers.
If you don't know someone, then why would you ask?
That it adds to only
I can't say whether, but I released yesterday. I released one photo.
Yes.
Yesterday I released one photo.
It's on the screen.
If he was Honorable Vice President was not knowing, then how he was on a dais of 2009 conference, and I'm telling you the procedure of protocol. When Vice President, Prime Minister, President is there, nobody can sit on dais without the approval of the VVIP. So he was aware that he is sitting, he was aware that he will be coming, but when we have not invited him, when he came to know that we have not invited, then he curtailed our program of his attendance from 1 hour to only 20 minutes.
Can you prove this?
What?
The fact that there was a request.
What proof regarding that he agreed?
That there was a request to invite Nusrat at your event.
Oral request. Yeah, that was an oral request.
No, Arnab,
orally on mobile. On mobile, Mr. Ashok Diwan on 10th of
what?
On 10th of December, on the eve of the inaugural ceremony, Mr. Ashok Diwan telephoned me.
Mr. Agarwal, do you want me to believe you are Satya Harishchandra? Mr. Agarwal, you are Satya Harishchandra. Do you want me to believe your oral request? I think every time, there is a request, there is a protocol, a letter is written, a documentation done.
Duty bound.
No.
Because,
Mr. Agarwal, oral
1 minute.
And for an event of that caliber,
you should know.
More interestingly, nobody is questioning Mr. Diwan. He continues to be an office bearer in the Vice President's office.
When there is an inaugural ceremony is going on, and the Vice President is leaving the conference.
You are not.
Arnab, you want me to believe what Mr. Agarwal is saying?
You want me to
respond?
Gaurav is responding to you, but I think I don't know. I would be extremely concerned if I would be. Allow me a minute. Allow me a minute. Allow me a minute. Tanveer, I think we tend to forget our country's recent history. For your kind information, on 26th of please don't speak over me. On 26th of November 2008, in case you forgot, there was a terrorist attack in Mumbai. In February 2010, in case you forgot, there were bomb blasts killing 9 people and injuring 57 in Pune. You may have forgotten the terror threat that was there from Pakistan, and I think it's very disturbing to me that you don't think it's serious that an ISI spy was sitting on the high table with our vice president and our cabinet ministers. I find your response absolutely horrendous. Absolutely horrendous, unacceptable, and very worrying. Gaurav is on the debate right now.
More nationalist than I am more nationalist than Mr. Agarwal.
No, that I'm not getting into your claims of nationalism. I'm saying someone has to explain who let the spy in.
Now the question arises on an international platform. We blame that our vice president was working for Pakistan. Do you know what exactly we are trying to send a message on international platform? Just because some Agarwal comes
now
listen. That he got a verbal and the request, and you want me to buy
Tanveer bhai,
I don't know who he is.
आप तो सुनते थे हमारी बात, क्या हो गया? Tanveer bhai, let me make some points and then you rebut. I am very sure you will agree with me. As a citizen, Tanveer bhai, you and me and every citizen would have preferred to see Hamid Ansari sitting with the family members of the martyr Sandeep Krishnan, not with an ISI agent, first of all. And let me give you 4 circumstances and facts, Arnab, independent of each other. They lead to only one conclusion. And that one conclusion is that Hamid Ansari did not act in a responsible manner and he jeopardized our national security. 1. The 2009 conference that we are talking about, he is sharing the stage. That is undisputed, Tanveer bhai. And Hamid Ansari in his reply ought to have shared this information also when he responded to the press conference by the BJP. Second, 2010 conference, Adish Agarwal ji is a very respected senior advocate. He is sitting here. The point that can be ascertained very easily is that Hamid Ansari stayed in his event only for 20 minutes. Those footprints cannot be erased, Tanveer bhai. Third, Mr. Su, the former RAW agent, he has been making this charge on Hamid Ansari when he was serving as the ambassador in Iran. Now it's a very serious charge. And fourth, AMU is a university where the former vice president served as the vice chancellor. And this guy, ISI agent, also visited AMU. What a coincidence. Now let me just formulate a point on the Congress, Arnab. ये कांग्रेस के तार जो है पाकिस्तान के ट्रांसफॉर्मर से जुड़ते हैं, करंट वहीं से आता है. मैं आपको बताता हूं क्यों. Why is it that 2 Congress ministers are sharing the stage where this ISI agent is? Second, the third former minister of the Congress, Kapil Sibal, had done a press conference informing about this seminar. Why? That means there was total participation of the Congress government in inviting this ISI agent. Adding to that, Sonia Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi have gone numb. They can't speak a word. I would love to see, even if they are leaders of the opposition, to come out and assure every Indian that they did not act against the interest of my country. I beseech them, if they have the courage, they should step out.
I think the bigger question is that there was security clearance.
Mr. Bhatia, I think Mr. Bhatia has made some, very serious allegations, and I would like to respond to each one of them. So Mr. Bhatia has raised an issue that, of course, there is a, if there is any kind of threat to the integrity of the nation, to the security of the nation, there should be an investigation and questions should be asked. Well, with the same enthusiasm, I would request Mr. Bhatia to ask the question, why was a terrorist who's been arrested in Jammu and Kashmir was made an office bearer of the Bharatiya Janata Party.
It's a very childish approach.
With the same enthusiasm, I would like to seek an answer to this question.
We are not, no, 1 minute. Kapil, we are not in a synonym-antonym competition. You are not in class 3. You are not in class 3. You are, that was a while back. I need to...
You are getting jittery.
Yeah, no. My point is, I am resolutely asking you a simple question. And my question is that, do you not believe that there was security clearance at the highest level that was accorded to a ISI spy, a Pakistani citizen? And I would only want to know, Saurav, that if there are 3 cabinet ministers and a vice president sitting alongside a Pakistani at an event on how to fight terrorism, then it would be an absolute presumption. Even if we say that Mr. Agarwala is not speaking the truth, we will have to admit that Nusrat had got high security clearance clearance right after 26/11. He had got the highest security clearance right after 26/11. On that, there can be no doubt.
Inquiry must be done because at the end of the day,
Why are you shouting?
I'm saying it again, Mr. Ansari. I've had the highest respect. He has been in public service. He has held one of the highest public office of this country. He must come out and clarify, because I know the gentleman being mentioned by Mr. Agarwala, Mr. Diwan used to work in Mr. Ansari's office for a long time. There must be an investigation. He must be called to ascertain what Mr. Agarwala is saying. And if indeed this is true, this is very serious in nature, because that means that soon after 26/11, this alleged ISI spy was able to penetrate. What was he gathering? What was he doing? And why was this, that, how was he given a visa? All these things are noted. I can tell you that all these notings will be there in the government records. The Ministry of Home Affairs and the Ministry of External Affairs must order an inquiry into this, following these revelations that Mr. Agarwala has made, and also the Vice President.
No, I'll also make another point. I'll make another point, Saurav, and a little bit of, I can share an anecdote. There was a deep amount of discomfort in the then Congress government when we had covered the 26/11 terror attack. In fact, at that point of time, individuals at the highest level of the government, when I was broadcasting, were threatening me directly threatening me that you stop the coverage, otherwise we will block your broadcast. And we are all aware of the fact that 26/11 and its aftermath forced the Congress government against its own will to change its Pakistan policy. You can abuse the media, attack the media and all that, but the fact is that there was outrage across the entire country. Now, at that time when that was the public mood, how did a Pakistani get the highest level of security clearance? We all know a Pakistani national needs to make a request to the Indian mission directly so that proper background checks are made. Referred to the Ministry of External Affairs.
BJP official position.
Why are you hyperventilating like an unstable leaf on my program today? The Ministry of Home Affairs who was the Home Minister at that time? Who were the foreign ministers at that time?
Becomes an office bearer, I will get unstable.
How did a Pakistani? No, don't control yourself.
I will get unstable.
How did don't become unstable. I like them.
Can I also please say something?
Important enough.
Who invited him? He didn't walk in on his own. Someone invited him.
Arnab.
Someone rolled the red carpet. Stop being defensive about it. Gaurav is on the debate right now. Kapil and Gaurav.
This party in 3 pictures.
Ridiculous. You're cornered and you have nothing to say tonight.
This would be the...
And even Hamid Ansari has thrown it at you.
Kapil, please hear me out. Okay. So, Arnab, in 30 seconds, I will expose the hypocrisy of the Congress and how they have been hurting the interests of our country. Picture 1 is right here. 2 union ministers sharing the stage with the ISI agent. Picture 2. This is a terrorist with Manmohan Singh dictating the Kashmir policy. So they learn how to fight terrorism from an ISI agent. They frame the Kashmir policy after talking to Yasin Malik. And third, look at Rahul Gandhi signing an agreement with the Chinese. And the details of this MOU have not been revealed so far.
Still kept secret.
So why should we trust the Gandhis? Why should we trust the Congress? 3 pictures and Congress is nailed. 3 pictures. This is nothing short of treason. Why not? Why not?
Respond to Mr. Bhatia now. Now, Mr. Bhatia, I didn't heard Mr. Bhatia making any kind of statement or giving any kind of reason or an argument on how, in what circumstances, an admitted, arrested terrorist caught in Jammu and Kashmir, how he was made an office bearer.
Is this your argument in the defense of the Gandhi Parivar
it's a question.
And the then Congress
it's
government?
My question.
Kapil,
You will not
I think you are a better
Bhatia.
advocate than that.
Entire nation is watching. Entire nation is watching.
I don't have to answer. The debate is on Gandhi Parivar and the then Congress government. You need to answer if you have come as a sympathizer of the Congress, not me.
Because You are not.
You don't have to ask questions. Today is your day to answer.
Your Bharatiya Janata Party.
Sonia Gandhi does not even have the courage to step out. She is hiding somewhere. Rahul Gandhi is abroad.
You will not answer. You will not answer the same.
Do you think people of the country can trust the Gandhi Parivar?
How is that possible?
I don't know.
When Mr. Agarwal, when Hamid Ansari's office,
God save your clients, Kapil.
Yeah, Mr. Agarwal, when Mr. Hamid Ansari's office asked you to invite, Nusrat, and asked, did they say they were doing this on Mr. Ansari's behalf? Did they say Mr. Ansari wanted to invite Nusrat, or was it someone in Mr. Ansari's office who wanted to invite Nusrat?
Mr. Ashok Diwan told me it is the desire of the Honorable Vice President that you should invite Nusrat Mirza, journalist of Pakistan.
How much before the press? How many days before the event was this? How many days before the event was this?
This is about 1.5 month, about 1 month in advance. When the Vice President agreed, then after 2 days I was invited, and then orally I was informed.
And after accepting the invitation, point being here, that if you had given him an invitation, he could have used the invitation to go to the mission and get the security clearance and get the visa, because the invitation would be at the highest level. So that was a way for him to get into it.
No, I have not issued. No, I have not issued any invitation to Pakistani journalists.
No, you have not. But if you had, no. Point being that if you had, then Nusrat could have used that invitation as an excuse to enter India, be at the conference, have a series of meetings. So your event would have been the reason for the entry of a Pakistani spy. Am I right?
Yes, correct.
Now, what if Mr. Dewan says that you're lying? What if Mr. Dewan says you're lying? What if Mr. Ansari basically is trying to say that you're lying? It's nothing to do with it.
You see, anybody who says I'm lying, you check whether any program being attended by Vice President or Prime Minister or President, that he is leaving in between the inaugural ceremony.
Why?
Nowhere.
Why did he leave? Why did he leave? You're saying he was so angry. You're saying he was so angry. Saurabh, what he's saying is interesting. He's saying he was so angry, Mr. Sood. He says he was so angry that the Pakistani was not invited. He was so angry. He says, so upset that he almost walked out of the event after 20 minutes.
Arnab, I'm really shocked at these revelations, because obviously there is something
in advance that he will leave after 20 minutes.
This is serious. Arnab, what Mr.
One
Agarwal,
day before it was
he's a well-known jurist. What he's saying today on your show is very, very serious, and there must be an investigation that should be done. And I'll tell you, Ashok Diwan, the gentleman that he's just mentioned, used to manage protocol in Mr. Ansari's office when he was the Vice President of the country. He should be called in, and obviously must be ascertained, because I tell you, this invitation.
I think after all the
this spy was trying to get an invitation. I
for one am not a person driven to quick conclusions. But I must say one thing as far as Mr. Ansari is concerned, that Mr. Ansari's usual response to controversies is a single page denial or sort of attempt at fake outrage. Now, fact is that Mr. Ansari cannot say, I never do my due diligence on events or things. If he did accept an invitation to go to the Indian American Muslim Council, anybody would know how anti-India that organization is. And Mr. Ansari has been vice president. A vice president knows the ceremonial importance of his position. And more importantly, I think the Congress. I mean, the Congress gave a 5-year multiple entry visa to the man who carried out 2611, David Coleman Headley. Can we ever forget that?
And I'll tell you, after 2611, there were a lot of corrective steps, and that's the reason why I'm saying again and again there must be investigation here.
Viewers, Saurabh, I tell you, there's an industry out there, viewers, people who call themselves journalists and use that as a pretense to do all kinds of things, and it burns our heart to know that the Congress gave a visa to Javed Miadad, whose son is married to Dawood Ibrahim's daughter.
Absolutely.
They say that's also okay. It's not okay, viewers. It's not okay. And we don't become... Yeah, that's a fact. And on the other side, viewers, after 2047 plot, a Ghazwa-e-Hind jihad plot has now emerged. With the Pakistan hand now established, can the radicalization threat be ignored anymore? I know I keep saying it again.